Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to Temple Da Shalom. My name is Mark Wolkow. I'll be leading services tonight as Rabbi Mika is in Israel. She'll be there till the 24th of this month. And so if you want to see her, go to Israel or come here after the 24th. We did originally have on our plans to have Dr. David Jaffe joining us on the bima with his guitar, but he was called for grandparenting services this weekend, and so at the last minute he's not able to join us. Anyway, we will be in Mishkan Tefillah this evening, and we will begin on page 128 with Hine Matov.
שברחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. 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 שברחים גם יחד. שברחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. 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 שברחים גם יחד, שברחים גם יחד, שברחים גם יחד.
We now turn to page 127. We will read responsively from the top of the page. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. We now turn back to page 121. For, let's see, Oneg families. We're going to do the candle lighting, then L'chuna Ranana. Read anything? How about the blessings over the candles?
We can do that. Do you want to? Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. We now turn to page L'chu Narana is on page 130.
L'chu Narana, Yai lai 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 lai, Adonai, Yai lai 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 lai, Nahariya, Yai lai 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 lai, L'tzor Yishenu, Yai lai 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 lai. Let us sing out to God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountains to sea hear our song. The Vuneranena, Yai lai 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 lai, Adonai, Yai lai 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 lai, Nahariya, Yai lai 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 lai, L'tzor Yishenu, Yai lai 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 lai. Now all of the wonder in all of God's light we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. The Vuneranena, Yai lai 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 lai, Adonai, Yai lai 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 lai, Hariya, Yai lai 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 lai, L'tzor Yishenu, Yai lai 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 lai, Yai lai 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 lai, Yai lai 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 lai.
We now turn to page 138 for Lecha Dodi.
Ay, 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 Lecha Dodi. Ay, 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 Likrat Kala. Ay, 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 B'nai Shabbat. B'nai Shabbat Nechamla. Ay, 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 Lecha Dodi. Ay, 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 Likrat Kala. Ay, 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 B'nai Shabbat. B'nai Shabbat Nekabla. Hold on. What happened to my there? Sorry, something happened to my tablet. Gamor v'zachor b'dibor echad. Ishmiyanu el hamyuchad. Adonai echad אורן ולתהילה. איי 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 לך דודי, איי 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 לקראת כלה, איי 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, יהי מקור הברכה, לראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה ומחשבה תחילה. איי 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 לך דודי, איי 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 לקראת כלה, איי 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה, התעוררי, התעוררי, גבעה הורך קומי ירי, 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. איי 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 לך דודי, איי 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 לקראת כלה, איי 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה.
We rise and face the main entrance to greet the bride Shabbat.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוכן ונעם סגולה, בואי כלה, בואי כלה. איי 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 לך דודי, איי 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 לקראת שלה, איי 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה, איי 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 לך דודי, איי 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 לקראת כלה, איי 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה.
And before we sit back down, let's take a moment or two to meet some people you might haven't met before. Say Shabbat Shalom, wander around. We already have 3 dreidels spinning in the middle. Anyone else that wants to join them, you're welcome. My hands are always cold. And please feel free to continue all of these conversations at the Oneg after the service is complete. Where's my musician? Come on. That's my English reading. Okay. So we will continue with our service on page 146 with the Baruch. And now that you've all been seated again, please rise. Be seated. We continue with on page 148 with the Ma'ariv Aravi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravi. B'chokmah poteach sheharim ובתבונה משנה עצים ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו ברקיע כרצונו ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בדברו מעריב ערבי ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בדברו מעריב ערבי.
Continue with Open Up Our Eyes.
Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and you will know that you are one. Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name. You will know that you are one, and you will know that you are one.
We rise for the Shema on page 152.
Everybody take a deep breath in. Let it out. Close your eyes. Take one more deep breath in. Let it out. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
You may be seated. We continue with V'ahavta, page 154. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'aderech u'shokbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Adonai Elohechem, Emet. We continue now on page 157. At the top, we'll read responsively. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. And now we are going to continue on page 158. Since we were just at the shores of the sea, let's go across. Micha Mocha.
Nicely segued. All right, I'm changing up Micha Mocha since you're up here with me. Mocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilo, osei peleh, malchut Moshe u'Miriam, ve'elianu v'amru, Adonai yimlok le'olam va'ed. Who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Moses and the children crossed the sea. They sang to you with songs of joy. Who is like you, Adonai? Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilo, osei, 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 osei peleh.
The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel, for in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed. Page 162, Vishamru at the top of the page.
All right, I see some new faces, and I see some people we haven't seen in a good while who may not know this Vishamru. This one is easy. All you have to do, sing along with us, but then when we need you to, repeat after us, and I'll tell you when that's coming. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Repeat after me. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
And now we're going to have that drawing for the trip to the Caribbean. Nah, just kidding. Okay. We are now going to move to page 164, the beginning of the Amidah. Please rise if you are able.
Adonai, eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Himahot, U'mevii Gula Livnei B'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Ba'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Mashiach u'Magen, Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah. Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechael HaKol Atarav Lehoshia, Mashiva Ro Mo'id Hagashem, Mechachel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Tomech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Chaye Memunato Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Meimit Chaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emanata lechayot hakol. Baruch Ata Adonai, Mechaye hakol.
We continue privately, either from the prayer book or what is in your heart tonight. And please have a seat when you are completed your private prayer. We will conclude the Amidah with Yehiyu L'Ratzon, page 180 in the middle. Please sing along if you know the melody or the harmony.
Yehiyu L'Ratzon Imrevi Suri
We will now say a prayer for those who are ill, physically, emotionally. We think about the following people who are ill this evening: Amelia Parsons, Daniel Hurst, David Bonham, Fred Belkin, Gary Markow, Heather Mullis, Joyce Levine, Julie Cooper, Linda Topol, Mandy Shanks, Natalie Latavsky, Paul Cohen, Sherry Morris, Steve Nahoel, and if there's anyone whom you would like to voice their name when I look at you, please state those names.
Beverly Rowley and the Friedman family.
We'll continue with the Misha Beirach, page 371, in the middle of the page.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha le'avotenu, let those in need of healing with refuah shlema, renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Okay, so now it's time for a quick summary of this week's Torah portion. It's all about Joseph and his brothers and finding out who they really were, and Brad is doing the drash. Yeah, okay. Drash offs. All right. Well, as Brad's coming up, you're going to hear some really good stuff about Joseph and his brothers and how they get out of their situations.
The
situation.
Yeah. The heavyweight guy. So, sorry about that. Nobody told you.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah.
You're good.
But you've done enough. Really, you've been very sharp and funny so far tonight. All right. So thank you for being here and lasting through the service. I know Mike has been great, and Pat, you guys filling it out pretty good tonight. Thank you very much. So the parsha is Vayechi, which is the shortest one in the Torah. It's like 4 pages. But that doesn't mean I don't have 60 pages of notes to share with you, right? I mean, I could really drag this on, but I won't. I'm not going to drag this on. I think this is a very important story. It is probably the peak of emotion at this generation. So the name of is Vayechi, which means he lived. And this is the way the Torah, the Parsha of the week says he lived. And the portion is referring to Jacob or Yaakov. The portion is mostly about the days before Jacob's death, not really about most of his life. But to bring the whole thing together, we have to go back a little bit. What kind of a life he lived? He had a very difficult early life. Things were fine in the tent. His brother Esau was out hunting, and his father liked the venison. Hey, this is great. I love this kid. I'm going to give him his blessing. But the mother, Rebecca, decided that's not what we need. We need someone who's thoughtful, who can see the future, understand what needs to happen to have a people going forward. Because that was their mission. They were going to, from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob, they had to pass this down. So the mother helped him fool Isaac, because Isaac was blind and Esau was hairy, and he put some lambskin on the kid, and somehow Isaac was fooled, and gave the blessing to Jacob, Yaakov. His names today are Jacob, Joseph. Those are the two that I'm going to probably interchange accidentally more than once. So Rebecca was the mother, and when the truth was found out that he gave it to the children in the back, they gave the blessing to the wrong person, Esau was very upset. And Jacob had to run for his life. And he did. And his mother said, you got to go to see Laban. See my brother. You can hide there for a while. So he went there. And he thought, this is cool. You know, I got a nice job here, and they're going to pay me and all that. And he met Rachel. He loved Rachel, like instantly. They fell in love with each other. And Laban said, well, if you work for me for 7 years, you can have her as a bride. They said, okay, this is great. So he worked, and because of who he was, and he was such a brilliant guy, and he understood somehow to make the flocks get more, and the grain grew more, and Laban was very happy to have him, and he wanted to keep him there. So on the wedding day, he didn't see the bride until the wedding ceremony was over. And it's Leah, the sister. Because she was older, Laban said, I had to give you her. She's the older sister. You have to take her first. So Jacob wasn't really happy about that, but there was nothing he could do, because he wanted this woman as his wife. So he worked another 7 years. And again, Laban tried to cheat him, but at this point, Jacob was wise to him, and he figured out a way, and God helped him, and they got the right couple together. So he went back, and he was worried about Esau, because Esau wants to get him. He got the word. Esau had an army of 400 spear carriers. And he had his wife, the kids, some sheep, some goats. He wasn't really sure how that was going to work out, but it somehow it worked out. He got there. And he went back to Canaan, to where Jacob was, where his mother was, or he got there before Isaac died. And he eventually had multiple wives, including concubines, and 12 sons. So these are our 12 tribes. There was jealousy in the next generation, right? Because Esau and Jacob didn't get along. And this is repeated. So if you remember about Joseph had dreams. Joseph always had dreams. He had dreams that the stars in the sky were all going to come around him, and he was going to be the sun in the sky. And he told his brothers that. Not very smart. He went a little further and he said, I had a dream about the wheat, sheaves of wheat. There were 12 sheaves of wheat, and I was in the middle, and you were all bowing down to me. He earned their enmity very quickly. But then his father had no understanding of what was going on. He gave Joseph the coat of many colors. Well, that was kind of the last straw. And the brothers were sick of him. He thought he was in charge of them, and he said, you guys have to go do this, and you go do that. I'm going to go back and sit in the tent. So a caravan came by, and they said, okay, let's get him. So they kind of knocked him out and threw him in a pit. And after a while, he woke up and he said, where am I? And he realized he was in a caravan. Where am I going? You're going to Egypt. And he ended up going to Egypt. Anybody remember what happened there? Not right away. He had to have some dreams, other dreams that got him out of trouble for a little while, right? Because the other people in the jail, one guy says, I dreamt, he was the wine bearer, one was the baker, and he interpreted the dreams. And then when the guy was released, he remembered Joseph, and he said to the Pharaoh's people, you know, this guy's pretty smart. And then Pharaoh started having some bad dreams. Anybody remember what those were? That I'm going to keep talking? No, that's not the dream. The dream was about the cows. The cows were down by the Nile, and there were some really healthy-looking ones, and there were some really starving-looking ones. And yeah, 7 years of wealth and 7 years of famine. And so he asked his magicians, he had his magician, he says, what does all this mean? And they gave him things that made no sense. He said, then he heard about this guy, Joseph. And Joseph explained, he understood the dream to mean that God is going to give us plenty of wheat and good times, and then there's going to be 7 years that are really bad. And Pharaoh said, well, you're pretty smart. What should I do about this? He said, build these storerooms and collect it all. And so that's what they did. And when the 7 years of famine came, people from Canaan came. There was no rain anywhere except they had already saved it up. So people came, first they came to buy, and then they ran out of money because they had nothing to earn money with. So then they came and they sold their animals to the Pharaoh in exchange for wheat. And they had given all the animals. And then they gave their land. And so they all lost their land, and the Pharaoh owned everything. Everything. And Joseph was his number one guy, because Joseph organized the whole thing. And the title of his job was Vizier. Vizier. Has anybody heard that word before? Yeah. So he was the vizier. And so guess who else came for wheat? The sons of Yaakov came for wheat. They came once, and they had some money, and they traded it, and they got some wheat. And they said, well, we're going to come back, okay? And it said, and Joseph was there because he was in charge of all this. And he recognized them, and they didn't recognize him because he was wearing gold clothes. He looked like $1 million, had a nice tan, right? And he said, how many of you are there? He said, well, we have 10. One brother died. They told Jacob that he died, right? They brought the bloody coat of colors, Jacob. But there is one other son. Where is he? Well, he's back in Canaan. If you want more wheat, bring him. So they had to bring him, right? And they came, and they were getting ready to leave, and one of the guards said, "Hey, wait, that satchel of wheat, look in there." They looked in there. There was a royal cup. And Joseph had set all this up. And he said, "This boy is going to have to stay here as a slave to me." So this became a turning point. What was going to happen? Are they going to go back and just say, "Benjamin was there, he has to stay there, but we got some food. Is that okay, Dad?" And Judah spoke up, and he said to Joseph, who still didn't know who he was, he said, "No, can't do that." Judah proved himself worthy in a special way. He offered himself in exchange for Benjamin. He said, I will stay. If we go back without Benjamin, my father, who already lost a son, would be heartbroken. He would die. At that point, and I'll read from the Torah, chapter 45, we get these words. Joseph caused every man to go out from there, and there stood with no man with him. So he has all these guards and protecting people. So he was alone with all the brothers. And Joseph wept aloud. Joseph said to them, "I am Joseph. Is my father alive?" And they couldn't answer him. They were so frightened. And he said to them, "Come near to me, I pray you." And they came near. "I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. And now be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves that you sold me here, but God sent me before you to preserve life." Everybody would have died if they hadn't stored up all that wheat. So Joseph has forgiven the brothers their terrible deceit. And Jacob, they sent for Jacob, and he lived, this is the title of Vayechi, he lived there for 17 years at the time of this portion. And as his death draws near, he calls Joseph to him and makes Joseph swear that he will take him back to Canaan to go to the burial place, which would be, you know what kind of place that was? Do you remember that at all? Cave. The cave of Machpelah. And Abraham is in there with Isaac, except Isaac's still alive. Wait a minute, Isaac's still alive. But Jacob is 147 years old at that time. So he makes Joseph swear that he'll take him back to the Israel land where the tomb is. So he gives Joseph sons. He has two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, and he blesses those. Jacob blesses those, but he's going to have to give blessings to the rest of the sons. And so who was there? So Reuben was the eldest. He was the one most likely to get, you're the leader, you're getting it all. But that didn't work out because he made the mistake of sleeping with one of his father's concubines. And his father found out about that, so that didn't go over too well. So he said, and Simon and Levi were very cruel. Does anybody know the story of Dinah? Dinah. All right, so you should read it. It's a pretty tough story to hear about. But Simon and Levi were in cahoots together, and they killed many people. out of vengeance and anger. So the leader was then to be Judah. Judah, who spoke up and said, I will give myself up. And Judah was the lion of Judah. The Jews were named after Judah. So he was the source of kings to come. So others were not allowed to have an inheritance. And so we're told this, Judah is it. So does anybody have any thoughts on who might be a hero here, this story, and who could be a villain? Well, I have thoughts that Joseph got himself in trouble a lot. He was his own worst enemy. It took him a long time to learn to keep his mouth shut and not show off, right? And then after Jacob died, the brothers were scared again because they said, well, Dad was the only one protecting us at that point. But he told them, you're forgiven. So this was a place of harmony finally. And life goes forward. Anybody have a question or anything? Comment? Yes. Favoritism. Not all of them, probably. Yeah. Judah did, and Simon and Levi were dispersed. They didn't have any holdings. They were said, you guys are too dangerous to be in charge of anybody. So you're just going to have to be, we'll put you in with Judah and a little bit of Reuben and those guys there. Anybody else want to say anything? Ann Cogan, you have a comment? Ravens by 15. Well, it makes me think about a long life. Life has its ups and downs. I've had some tough times in my life and some great times. And right now it's pretty good, today. And thank God I'm very healthy as far as I know. And I'm pleased to be here. We moved to this little town a long time ago, met you. It's a nice little congregation, there's room for everybody. That's all. All right. Thank you for your time.
Shabbat Shalom.
Many more to come.
May you live to be 147 yourself.
Okay. We are now going to turn to page 586 for the Aleinu. Please rise.
Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latei gdula liotzer breshit, shehu note shamayim ve'aser haaretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim mimahal, u'shchinatu zo be'gohei meromim, hu Eloheinu Vanachnu kori משתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר בהי אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
May be seated. I neglected to point out that we've got some birthdays this week. On the 10th, Erwin Rosenfeld, happy birthday. Also on the 10th, Morgan Elizabeth Jones. On the 12th, Dr. Kogan. On the 12th also, Raina Drabinski and Molly Kravitz-Yaffe. On the 13th, Henry Hoffman. On the 13th, also David Durlam. And on the 14th, Amy Ratner. A big week for birthdays, but not a big week for anniversaries. There are no anniversaries. Oh well. Okay.
New Year's Eve party didn't go so well, so called it off.
And now we come to the time where we think about those who we've lost and the yurtzites. This past recently, Stan Blyden, mourned by Dr. Edna Hirsch, Elon, Aaron, and grandchildren Amelia and Nola. And just this Thursday, Adele Friedman, whose funeral will be on Wednesday afternoon here at 2 o'clock. Adele was one of the few founding members of the congregation who is still with us. And so we're going to miss her dearly, but be here on Wednesday for the service, and there'll be an email that comes out to the congregation with all of the details. Also this week we have several yurtzites observed for Abraham Baker, Alice Good, Charles Roseman, Etta Thayer, James Palladino, Jean Tice, Joanne Levine, Joyce Graff, Morton Shapiro, Paul Richardson, Rose Blackstone, Ruth Vogelhut, Sadie Weintraub, Sarah Miller, and Solomon Getz. When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust and the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear, but if we dwell too long on our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those about us. The psalmist said that in his affliction, he learned the law of God, and in truth, grief is a great teacher. When it sends us back to serve and bless the living, we learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silent in their presence and when a word will assure them of our love and our concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as in their higher moments they themselves wished to live. We remember them now. They live in our hearts. They are an abiding blessing. If you are in mourning or observing yurtzeit, please rise. And if it is your custom, please rise. We turn to Mourner's Kaddish, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash me rabbah, v'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yamechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehesh me rabbah mevorach le'olam ulmei alamaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha brichu. Le'elah min kol birchata v'shirata. tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru, amen. Yehesh lama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mramav, huya aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen.
Amen.
Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. You may be seated. And we have just a couple of temple announcements. A little bit of a slow time in January, but next Sunday is the MLK Mitzvah Day for the religious school. And let's see, there's an adult ed meeting on Wednesday, and then we get to next Friday, and it'll be Daven and Dine next Friday, so service at 6:15. And then we will be going, I believe, to the Lynn's Hibachi, right, Lynn's Hibachi in Havre de Grace. Always a good time with the cooking in front of you and the flames going up and catching food in your mouth. Who could have a better time, right? Okay. Let me ask, any other announcements that I have missed?
No.
Wow, that's great. Oh, look, there is right here. Adult ed movie. The movie is called A Real Pain, and it's actually gotten very good reviews, publicly. And so that's going to be here Saturday, January 25th. No charge, popcorn included in your no charge. Yeah, I don't know how that works, but
Get your tickets now.
Get your tickets now. Friday, February 7th, join us for Shabbat Shira. It's going to be devoted to Debbie Friedman songs in her memory. And you can come then the next night on February 8th for Sisterhood Chick Flick Night. And now we are going to continue to complete the service with Adon Olam, an old favorite, page 625, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Wow.
Adon Olam,
Adon Olam,
Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'terem Kol,
B'terem Kol,
Yitzei Nivra,
Yitzei Nivra,
Yeit Nasa,
Yeit Nasa,
Ve'epsachol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'acharei Kiklot HaKol, V'valadol Yimnoch Nora Adon Olam, V'hu Haya, V'hu Hoveh, V'hu Yiyeh B'tifara Adon Olam, Adon Olam,
Adon Olam,
Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'terem Kol,
B'terem Kol,
Yitzei Nivra, V'yeit Nasa,
Yeit Nasa,
Ve'hefsachol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Yachad V'yein Sheni, Laham Shelo Lahachbera Adon Olam, Beri Leishit, Beli Tachlit, V'lo Ha'oz V'hamizra Adon Olam, Adon Olam,
Adon Olam,
Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'terem Kol,
B'terem Kol,
Yitzei Nivra, V'yeit Nasa,
Yeit Nasa,
Ve'hefsachol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'hu Eli, V'chai Goali, V'tzorchev li V'yetzara Adon Olam, V'hu Nisi, Umanos li, Menakosi B'yom Mikra Adon Olam, Adon Olam,
Adon Olam,
Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'terem Kol,
B'terem Kol,
Yitzei Nivra, V'yeit Nasa,
Yeit Nasa,
Ve'hefsachol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Yado, Akil Ruchi, B'yeit Tishan V'ayra Adon Olam, Unisi Umanosni, Anakosi B'yom Mikra Adon Olam, Adon Olam,
Adon Olam,
Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'terem Kol,
B'terem Kol,
Yitzei Nivra, V'yeit Nasa,
Yeit Nasa,
Ve'hefsachol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Yado Afir Ruchi, B'yeit Tishan V'ayra Adon Olam, B'irechi Gviyati, Adon Ali V'lo Era Adon Olam, Adon Olam,
Adon Olam,
Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'terem Kol,
B'terem Kol,
Yitzei Nivra, V'yeit Nasa,
Yeit Nasa,
Ve'hefsachol, Azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Meet you in the Oneg. I hear it's a good one tonight. So you can continue all those conversations at the welcoming part after L'cha Dodi.
Shabbat Shalom, and thank you everybody who is at home and around the world this evening watching us on YouTube. We hope you have a wonderful Shabbat, wonderful weekend. Thank you, Seth, for being our tech maven this evening. Thank you, Mr. Mark.
Okay.